Bitcoin ultimately seeing a 40% dip recently. Many people calling the bear market. Is that a little overboard or is it justified? In this video, I'm going to dig into the BTC charts and we're going to talk about what is next. What is up, everyone? Welcome to Crypto Capital Venture. Hit the subscribe and like on the way in. I really appreciate it. This is Bitcoin on the weekly. Zoomed out, you see it. It's an uptrend. And if we do zoom out and we kind of get clarity and a picture of the 40% dip, there it is, 40% ultimate dip. Wow. Could it look any more less threatening? It's so commonplace. And that's why zooming out is key, everybody. But what Bitcoin does next is huge for crypto markets in general. It's huge for all the altcoins that are out there that you're tracking, that I'm tracking. And that's why I thought it might be good to really dig into what's going on with Bitcoin on the charts right now. I personally have not been one to call a bear market entry just yet. I mean, if you're looking at a weekly, we're just consolidating once again. And if you zoom out on the weekly, it happens all the time in uptrends and in downtrends. We haven't gotten this true reversal though. We haven't had key areas broken just yet. I tweeted this a couple days ago in regards to Bitcoin hovering 2% above the 50-week moving average. And if we go to that, that's that blue line. Bitcoin's still hovering just above that area. It hasn't broken below that area just yet. I tweeted earlier, and this is what I want to talk about, the speculative setup. If you're a bear and you're really just like, hey, Bitcoin's going to break, this could be one of those scenarios, but it's also kind of this confirmation type of speculative confirmation that we might anticipate happening. And that's what I want to dig into amongst other things real quick. And this is the tweet. I basically said it's a moment of truth for Bitcoin in terms of bull versus bear. What Bitcoin does at the retest of the 50 and 20 moving averages on the daily chart could define the macro charts. And I also talked about the momentum oscillator in that tweet. Let's dig into it. Here we are with Bitcoin on the daily chart. There's the speculative head and shoulders, right? We had this left shoulder form right back here, basically August to September. Then we had this head form at all-time high in November, back to the neckline. Now, if Bitcoin gets this burst, some type of move to the upside, we'll have really solid data to track Bitcoin to get confirmations that we need. And that's why we do technical analysis, not to predict, but to anticipate certain scenarios and then wait for confirmations. So the reason why I think there could be this burst to even just a potential right shoulder is on this RSI, Bitcoin's kind of hovering in this oversold territory. There's room for upside even in the short term. If Bitcoin on the longer term is going to even enter a downtrend, on the short term, after this downtrend it's been in, there's room for upside, right? So if Bitcoin does make a pop, right? Maybe today, tomorrow, going into early this week, if Bitcoin makes a move to the upside, this is what we'll be tracking. It's kind of a right shoulder setup, right? What if the bulls fail in this attempt to continue to the upside, meaning we have these higher lows that Bitcoin has been putting in, and if it's trying to put in another one, comes back down and fails, what does that look like? And it looks like a head and shoulders. So the reason why there's a head and shoulders in play in my view is because Bitcoin can very well test the 20-day moving average right there and the 50-day moving average right there. And if it does, you're going to see it trickle up a little bit. Who knows the exact price point, maybe mid 50s. Will it fail? And will we get just kind of this weak right shoulder of some type? Along that area, almost confluent, at least with it right now, that could change, is a Fibonacci. And what that looks like is the all-time high swing high to this swing low, and you have this Fibonacci resistance right there as well. So Bitcoin even could actually, for a short term, break above the 20-day moving average, and there's the 50-day confluent with the 618 line of the Fibonacci right now. But Bitcoin maybe make a move above those moving averages briefly, get into this Fibonacci, and still fall back below those moving averages, continue down because it failed at this lower high Fibonacci. That Fibonacci right around 63,000 or so at the 786 to 58,000 at the 618. And if that happens, that would also be kind of a right shoulder setup for Bitcoin. These are bearish scenarios. This is if the bulls fail, everyone. And I wanted to discuss that because on the flip side of that, very simply, we can evaluate, well, if the bulls succeed, and this is the bullish move we'd be looking for, there will be no head and shoulders, meaning Bitcoin breaks the Fibonacci, starts testing these all-time high area, this all-time high area from around a month ago, breaks the Fibonacci, even breaking all-time high. Maybe it just tests this area, right? And makes a move to that area and then comes back down. It's not really a head and shoulders anymore, right? Because we're testing all-time high. We kind of have this more horizontal type of upper trend line with previous higher lows. We could be going into an ascending triangle. So we're going to anticipate all these different patterns, but that head and shoulders is really interesting to me because one way or another, it could really, really give us some confirmations. Because if you zoom out, the target to the downside of the head and shoulders is right around $29,000. Now, if we zoom out even further on this daily chart, the reason why that's key is this. And this is, I use this data, this exact tool in identifying this bear market low of 2018. What it is, and I'm going to actually zoom all the way out here so we can really chart this. It's a Fibonacci. So here's a January 15, 2015 bear market low to the bull market high of 2017. And it was this Fibonacci oversold. Bitcoin got so oversold below a 786 to 618 area, right? It marked the bottom of the bear market. Now, if we look at a similar Fibonacci on this next cycle, meaning the last bear market low of 2018 to the bull market high thus far, right around there, you can see Bitcoin with a new Fibonacci. And check out where that head and shoulders target leads to, just at that 618 area. So that would be kind of this first macro support area in that general vicinity. And then the 786 or the 618 right around $27,300 or so. But just above that is the target. So there could be that first support area on the macro for Bitcoin in a bearish environment that we'd have to track and we'd have to talk about. And I don't mean to sit here and talk about downside for Bitcoin. I'm not trying to paint horrible scenarios. Again, I'm not sitting here saying that there's a bear market confirmation just yet. I'm not one of those content creators that's saying that. I'm not, but I'm waiting for setups where we can start really discussing it and start tracking, because in these environments, if Bitcoin keeps falling, and this is a 40% dip right here, this is a 40% dip. If Bitcoin keeps falling, the opportunity starts arising for Bitcoin. And we know there are huge accumulators of Bitcoin right now. And I can only imagine if Bitcoin's testing this Fibonacci just above the Fibonacci right there on the macro. I'm so curious to see what on-chain metrics show in terms of accumulation. It's going to be so interesting to watch how that plays out. But I digress from that for a second, because guess what? If we look at the daily chart, we are in this series of higher lows right now, bouncing off of this 1618 that Bitcoin has done for the continuation of this bull market. And it's been a while probably since I talked about it in a Bitcoin video, but that bull market high to bear market low, there's our bull market entry from around a year ago. The bull market doors right here, Bitcoin breaking that macro Fibonacci 786 to 618, coming up, bouncing off the 1618 for continuation in this bull market. We tracked it. That's why we didn't call confirmation of a bear market when a lot of people were back here, because we bounced so nicely off the 1618, continued to new all-time highs. So that's what's played out so far, right? And if we're looking at Bitcoin right now, it's continuing this higher low story, and you can just see it. If we take our Fibonacci on more of a midterm, this last swing low at that left shoulder, potential left shoulder formation to all-time high, Bitcoin right now testing this higher low Fibonacci. Let me get rid of the head and shoulders. And here we are. We're in it right now. So on the very short term, right now, this is what we can track. It's the 786 support right around $46,000 to the 786 right around 50,000 to 51,000. Bitcoin's in it right now. It's testing the Fibonacci support right now, simultaneously testing the 200-day moving average, simultaneously testing the 50-week moving average. So again, I'm not sure what I'll put in the title of this video or in the thumbnail. This is a critical area for Bitcoin. The days are critical right now for support for Bitcoin. This week and the next 2 weeks are critical for Bitcoin in terms of continuation in the bull market or the start of a potential bear trend. That's what I'm tracking for Bitcoin. I wanted to just do a Bitcoin video. It's extremely important. I'm trying to find the time to do Bitcoin more often. I think the data is extremely relevant in terms of where we are with all crypto and altcoins. So hit the subscribe, hit the like. I appreciate each and every one of you. God bless.